Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Stream that I didn't think we'll be doing this morning anyway. Hence why I'm looking like, And the fact I've been up all night for other reasons, but we're not going to get into that. But yeah, Raul has been sacked. The Don has been sacked by Arsenal Football Club, which we'll be going into more detail during this stream. Obviously, as you can see, I'm joined by Richard. How you doing, Richard?
Yeah, not bad at all. I've been playing football this morning. Just came back to this news, which I know there was some talk about it yesterday, wasn't there? That it was.
Yeah, someone mentioned it.
Yeah, there was a few rumours going around, and it's like anything with Arsenal, isn't it? You hear rumours and you think, well, is that true or not? Because it happens all the time. And obviously, I've come back from football, and there it is. So it was actually true all the time. It was going to happen. So bit of a surprise in a way, but maybe not necessarily when you look at the details of it.
Yeah, and also we're joined by Natesh as well. How you doing, Natesh?
I'm doing good. I had a cold. Trust me, I apologized. I did a fortnight stream last night, and I apologized like 100 times on the stream because I was sneezing around, even though I've not gone out of home. But that was a horrible stream last night. But I'm feeling much better now, even though I haven't slept at all for the last 24 hours.
Well, that's good to know. But yeah, well, as you said, Richard, there's rumours going around yesterday that this is a possibility. And I mentioned it last night in the watch along that we did on here. But I actually said myself, because it's not, from what I saw, it was just fans saying it, like us, that they're putting it out there. There was no meat to it in the sense of the media itself weren't putting it out there, like ramming it home. So I was like, maybe it's just like wishful thinking, hopefully. And then I woke up this morning, which is afternoon, obviously, to club statement, he's gone. And the more it's come out the last hour, that actually the reason behind it and all that recent addition to the board, Mr. Lewis, he had Evo's suspicions of the Pepe deal and Raul's involvement in that, in what his suspicions were. Edu's then gone off and took it even further to the club and then gave him authorization to look into it. It turns out Raul's been a very naughty boy. As we said just before we literally went live, that it does feel like a bit of a George Graham-esque situation, not fully, but similar, taking backhanders here and there, which has effectively cost the club more money getting this player in. Whereas with George Graham, it was more just backhand, the round envelope situation.
Yeah, I mean, when I've got home this morning and I've been kind of looking into it a bit, the first thing that struck me was it did seem very similar to the George Graham situation, didn't it? Taking a backhander on a transfer deal. Now, we don't know necessarily if that's true or not. I guess at the moment it's still all rumours, isn't it? There's been no official statement from the club other than to say he's left. Why would he leave otherwise? I mean, it does seem to make sense that that's the reason. And obviously, if he has done that, then obviously, I'm sure no Arsenal fan or anybody really will have too much sympathy for him because, you can't, it's basically robbing from the club, isn't it? Which at the end of the day is robbing from us as fans as well. So, he deserves everything that he gets. Plus as well now, for me, it's opened up the whole transfer dealings. So maybe Arteta might have a little bit more say now in the players he wants and the deals and in a way that maybe Arsene Wenger used to get. And I do feel as though it's quite important that we get the players Arteta wants, not the players that he's given. Now, I think that happened with Unai Emery, didn't it? He was given certain players he maybe wasn't interested in necessarily. He was given them and had to work with them. And I don't want that to be the case with Arteta because Arteta's got his plan he wants. We need to let him have the players he wants. And maybe Raul he seemed to be in the pocket of that agent, didn't he? That Kia. I can't even say his name, but we know who I mean. He seemed to be in the pocket of him, didn't he? So I don't know whether that's going to maybe move away from that now. I mean, the good thing for me as well, Edu the other day, when we signed the Willian deal, Edu seemed very forward-thinking with it all. So I don't know whether he's going to take a more of a role in all of it as well now, which could be good as well because he's an Arsenal man through and through, isn't he?
Can I just point out one thing that Richard said? You said that Unai Emery didn't get the players that he wanted probably. We know why. One reason why possibly he did not. And maybe things could have been different if he did what he wanted, did get the players that he wanted, but Edu wanted something else. And it could have happened if those things happened actually the way that he wanted them to.
Of course, yeah. I mean, if you're the head coach of a team, you've got your ideas how you want to play. You know the sort of players that you've maybe worked with before or seen, and you know the ideas that you want. And if you don't get those players, then you have to get in other players that are given to you that don't maybe fit that system as well. I mean, don't forget. I mean, what does Raul know about football, really? I mean, he's not a football man, is he? He's so you need someone who understands football to be dealing with that, don't you? I mean, that's why Edu's a good choice, isn't he? Because he's an ex-footballer. He knows what it's about. He can understand what footballers are going to do, what job in a team as well. So, you know, I don't think Raul had that kind of the same knowledge, did he, really, of football? I don't think. So, in a way, I mean, I know he's had a lot of criticism, Raul, anyway, hasn't he, since he's come in, actually. So maybe this is an excuse to get rid of him. Obviously, a good excuse to get rid of him. Maybe that's what it is, and which could be good for us as a club moving forward. It's just the timing of it's a bit strange, isn't it? The transfer window's open. We've just done a deal, and suddenly our head of recruitment, if you like, has been fired, and it's suddenly thrown us in a bit of a dilemma. But hopefully, this can get sorted out really quickly. They've got Vinay to take over, haven't they? Initially, to take it on. Obviously, I'm assuming Edu will be working closely with him, and hopefully Arteta as well.
Yeah.
And we can hopefully get a few of these deals that maybe haven't happened yet. Maybe they haven't happened yet because Raul wasn't getting his backhander he needed, so he wasn't going to push him through. That could be the reason. Who knows? And maybe now, if we start signing 3 or 4 players now in the next few days, that could be the reason, couldn't it? Why it's been took so long? Why it's always taken so long?
Yeah, that's been my main frustration, even especially since because it was before Raul. There's a bit of a time lapse between knowing it's happening to actually being confirmed, but not this long. Like Willian, that was the worst kept secret in football. It's only been announced yesterday.
Yeah, everybody knew he was coming, didn't they? Really, I don't know whether or not he was on holiday. Well, no, he wasn't, was he? Because Chelsea played the Champions League last week. I mean, he might have gone on holiday for a week, mightn't he? And maybe that's why they couldn't get it done. I don't know.
Plus, he was injured.
Then as they're saying that, but
justify leaving him out of the team maybe for those 2 games in the cup final.
Bit of a coincidence that literally the cup final against the team he ends up going to, he's injured, and then they had to.
I mean, was he?
3 days later, he did look injured in the.
But I just want to say one thing. I appreciate that the Chelsea fans didn't do a check with Willian, even though he was like trying to say that I'm going to leave for Arsenal. Even if he would have played, I don't think they criticized him in that sense, irrespective of whether he played or not. And the other thing with respect to now, the problem is I am just disappointed that Ozil isn't involved in this scandal and he can't be thrown out like this.
He possibly could. Well, I mean,
he had his own scandal, wasn't he?
And also, if you think about it, going back when Raul came in, was around the time Ozil was given that deal. I mean, Ivan was in charge of the whole situation at the time, and Raul was just come in. But Raul was part of that thing, so there could be replications there as well. Hence
the timing again, you see, all this Ozil situation, it's obvious that something needs to happen with that. His statement the other day, stuff, which I actually thought made sense, what he said, Ozil, really. I mean, it made perfect sense. I think most people in the same situation would probably have acted in the same way as Ozil, really. And he's got a bit of extra criticism for it. But maybe, like you said, this could be tied into all of that. You know, suddenly Ozil's coming out and speaking about a few things, and suddenly Raul gets fired a couple of days later. I don't know. I think it is more connected to some of the dodgy dealings that's been going on. But like you said, maybe the Ozil contract, maybe Raul took a backhander from that as well. Who knows? It's unlikely that if he has took money on the back of the Pepe deal, it's unlikely to me that that's the only time he's done that. In all the transfer dealings that he's done, you can't tell me that's the only time that's happened. It's probably the only time he might have got caught, maybe the only time it's come out. But I'll be surprised if that's the first time he's done it. Looking at the transfers as well, they all seem to be the same agent he's been using. You know, that's how George Graham got caught out, wasn't it? Using the same agent, that Norwegian agent it was at that time, getting some Scandinavian players in, and that seems to be maybe what Raul's done as well. So I
would forgive Raul if he takes Ozil's name and says that Ozil was involved too. I would forgive him.
Oh dear, it's just as you said, it's a timing of it as well. But as you said,
I suppose in a way that it's better to happen now when we've still got another month and a half of the transfer window still open, haven't we? So we've still got plenty of time to get some deals done. The season doesn't the Premier League season doesn't start for another month, does it? So
yeah,
we've still got enough time to get things sorted now, get the players in that we want, and get rid of a few players as well, which I think needs to happen. So at least it's early enough now. It would have been, if it had happened a week before the Premier League season started,
that's what
and we still haven't got any deals over the line, it could have been a much more bigger issue, couldn't it? But at least we've acted early, got it sorted out, and we've still got plenty of time to get some deals done. And hopefully we can do that now. And hopefully there might be better deals for the club now as well.
Hopefully, like you said, deals now start speeding up and coming through as soon as we know when we know it's happening. It happens like it gets announced like the next day or something, not like two years later sort of thing.
Has Aubameyang signed his contract yet? I'm not.
No,
it's not been officially confirmed, but it's got the guys having parties where he's wearing it's him and his family with friends. They're all wearing the Arsenal new kit. They're all spraying their hair red and white. He's pretty much all. There was filming at the Emirates the day after he played Watford, which was something to do with BBC or BT. It hasn't been released since, and Ian Wright was there.
Ian Wright was there, yeah. I saw that, yeah.
So
I think it's probably going to be announced, isn't it? I don't know if he's on holiday, Aubameyang now. He might be away. They might be waiting until he's back, maybe on Monday, and then I think they start training, don't they, Monday again for the Community Shield. So I'm sure stuff will be announced on Monday for that, and hopefully, I'm hearing some good stuff about Thomas Partey as well. Supposed to be that deal.
Yeah, I've heard a lot.
Now Raul's gone, I think that deal might go through a bit quicker now.
A bit quicker now as well. But that's another thing we've seen a lot of on Twitter in the last 24 hours since last night. Really ramming home like it's been agreed as a 4-year deal. We're actually paying the full release clause.
Release clause, yeah,
and things like that. But yeah, it's just. I've said for the last few weeks, there's something about Raul. That was the one thing that concerned me going into this window. Raul, there's something that's not quite right. Yeah. And
I've never really trusted him, if I'm honest.
No, and him aside for a second, everyone else I'd have faith in. Yeah, I had faith in going forward, but it was just there's something about it. I couldn't put my finger on it, and obviously today I've been justified for it, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I've never really trusted him either. So I'm not 100% surprised that this has happened. Really, I mean, I don't think there was a lot of people at the club I don't think was particularly happy with how he was operating. Anyway, obviously from a transfer point of view, I don't think he's done the best deals for the club anyway, has he?
Yeah. Well, for one man to have so much power over who's in and out of the board, I mean, obviously the guy that's come in, he's allowed him, is the one that's outed him in the end. But there's David O'Leary had a chance to be on the board itself, and everyone was up for it. Everyone put it through it like, yeah. Raul said no, and that was it. Blocked it. But someone has so much power. So I put a tweet out, and that came out literally within minutes of it coming out, the statement and all that. Oh, okay, Arsenal. Now that this has been sorted, can we go back to David O'Leary and offer him the role that you initially offered him? Because everyone else wanted him in the club. And again,
maybe they will, but he might not want to accept it now. Maybe, I don't know. It'd be nice to have something like that. Oh, wouldn't it? Someone who, a real club legend as well. I mean, the record appearance holder for the club. Yeah. Getting involved again. I mean, brilliant.
And another Arsenal man as well, along with Edu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think it'd be brilliant to get him involved if we can now. Let's hope that can happen and happen quickly, because I do feel this needs to be. They need to get the plan in place quickly, don't they, for moving forward? And whether that's going to be with Venai doing it on his own, I don't know. But we need to get it sorted quickly so that we can move forward in the right direction. It seems as though there seems to be a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, doesn't there? The scouting people have been sacked, a lot of them. Edu a review of the scouting system. That's all changing. It seems like there's big changes going on behind the scenes, and this is the latest one. That's, for me, it's all positive. I think it feels positive. It feels like the club are finally moving in the right direction. Like, Arsene Wenger used to say, didn't he, playing with a handbrake on? I feel as though we've had the handbrake on for a while now, and maybe now we're getting a handbrake off, and we're going to start really, really flying. I'm quite excited actually now about where the club's going to be moving to. I feel as though all the dead wood and all the bad stuff that's holding us back is now being slowly got rid of. We need to sort out the playing side a bit more, get rid of a bit of dead wood there, and then I think we can really move forward. And today could actually be the start of a really positive move forward for everyone at the club. I think. And I'm quite excited about the prospect of that. Actually.
My first reaction when the news came out was, okay, we were anyway sacking our scouts, so another scout is gone now. Like literally, indirectly, you can say, because he was the one getting all the players in through his contacts. So it was like, okay.
But we know now we know why, because literally he's taking backhanders, and this is possibly a reason why. Because James Rowe was on here a few weeks ago, and he said, because he's looked into it since Raul's come in, he didn't leave of his own accord. He was sacked, and maybe that's the same reason why he was sacked there, because he's taking backhanders there.
I think he must have just left because I think Arsenal would have not wanted to have an investigation which would spoil the reputation. So they must have told him it's better that you leave quietly, so that let's bury this matter here. What has happened has happened. We have Pepe now. We don't want to do anything with you. The other thing is, I think it is quite evident in the Pepe deal because the amount is huge. What would he make in a smaller deal where there is barely any money and it would not be easy to catch as well? But in a huge deal like Pepe, which is supposed to be paid in parts, I think it would have been very evident, and that is why he has been caught in the Pepe deal. And Arsenal as a club would have said, it's better that we not talk about it. We don't give out too many details. It's just we'll be happy if you just leave now, you go away. But I don't understand one thing. They knew that this happened at Barca before as well. So why did they get him in the first place?
Maybe not, because Barcelona never actually outed him either themselves. So it was put out, like we've put out, he left. But
exactly.
I was James Rowe himself, who's been on the channel, since Raul's come in, he's done his own little digging here and there. And he on his channel said he was sacked. He wasn't there. It wasn't of his own accord. He was forced out because of whatever reason here, there, everywhere. The reason he doesn't know, James, but he said he was sacked. But like we've done, Barcelona did, and that's why we then when Ivan and Sven Mislintat went and approached him to come to the club.
Yeah,
we didn't know. Obviously, the club they didn't know. And the club itself didn't know the implications of why he'd left Barcelona, and now we're only finding out now via our own financial downfall, basically, because he's taking money here and there.
But I guess
backhanders, and it's cost it's doing it in a way in transfer dealings that's costing us, costing the club, and costing Stan and Josh, which is again in any other job in the UK or in walk of life, that's theft.
Yeah,
but what I'm trying to say, everyone had this information, whether Barca said it openly or not. Everyone knew about it. Just because they don't talk about it publicly does not mean that they did not know. They knew what they were getting into. They knew that they were getting a guy who had some troublous past at Barcelona. Otherwise, why would Barcelona let go of a guy who was getting them players who were winning doubles and trebles? There was something that had happened there. Eventually, they ignored those things. They just wanted Arsenal to grow or do whatever Barca was doing, copy that model in some ways, and they knew about it. Just because they didn't say it publicly doesn't mean that Arsenal as a club did not know that something like this would happen at Arsenal possibly as well.
You got to remember. Also, you got to remember that time we were the club itself acting very naive in their mindset in every aspect throughout the whole core of the club. So it might be publicly out there in the footballing world of the clubs and all that, but we're just at the time being very naive in ourselves. And look who's running the show at the time when we approached Raul, Ivan Gazidis, who's not a football man. So he hasn't. So whatever we say about they must have known, they might have been given hints here or there, but Ivan being Ivan, not knowing. I mean, being a football man himself, but he's just thinking, just rubbish trying to put us down to put us off him.
I mean, I think it's a little bit. I think it's a little bit naive of any of us to think that this stuff isn't going on at every club all the time. You know, all transfer dealings. I wouldn't be surprised if nearly every single agent, every single sort of director at the club are not getting something back from some of these deals. I mean, it would be naive to think they're not. I mean, we don't know what goes on, do we? And I'm sure this isn't the only deal that's happened on, whether it's Raul or whoever at any club. You can't tell me that this sort of stuff isn't going on still. In fact, it must be. The agents are making an absolute fortune out of this, aren't they? Every agent. And they're desperate to get a deal done because they get money, don't they? The signing on fee that the player gets, they get a percentage and all this kind of stuff, don't they? So the agents are desperate for players to move. And if it means to get that deal done, they have to, slip a backhander to somebody, I'm sure they're not going to think twice, are they? And who in their right mind is going to turn and say, "Well, I don't want an extra $2 million in my pocket, thank you very much."
Yeah, exactly.
And at that point, everyone was saying it was a very good deal that we closed, which Pepe was being linked with the likes of Real Madrid and some of the other big clubs. So it was a very good deal that we closed. We don't mind that we paid maybe 1 or 2 million extra or 4 or 5 million extra. We got the player. That was the statements that were coming out from everyone.
Yeah.
So now they are questioning why the money. But at that point of time, they were ready to pay that kind of money for him. And they said that we will not go for Zaha because Crystal Palace is a tough negotiator, but we will pay a few extra pounds and we will pay the deal in parts. And we will want to do it with for Pepe, with Lille. So at that point of time, everyone said it's a good deal. But now they are turning their backs and they're going around that no, he has taken money. He got the deal done. Now I am confused whether fans are happy that he got the deal done.
He got the deal done, but he's obviously in the process of whatever the financial aspect of add-ons and this, that, and the other in the contracts, talks between the agents and this, that, and the other. He's taking a percentage of the add-ons. Clearly, he's done it it's been done in such a way that no one at the time was on the wise. He didn't like suddenly flash up straight away. It's taken for someone else to come in on the board that Raul, by the way, gave the thumbs up to.
Do you not think a little bit right? Because I've heard that Raul had a special relationship, if you like, with the president of Lille, the Lille Football Club, right?
Yeah,
and that's how. And we've been negotiating to get that Gabriel Mangala, haven't we? From Lille. And I don't know whether or not the negotiations with that deal have maybe brought this Pepe one to light again. I don't know whether that might be right, because I've heard that him and Raul had a sort of a relationship with Lille, and that's how he managed to sort the Pepe deal out. Although obviously he's sorted it out other ways as well. And I don't know whether or not a similar thing was maybe on the cards for that Gabriel to come as well from Lille. I mean, apparently he's definitely leaving Lille, isn't he? That guy.
Yeah.
So if we don't get him now, when he said he wanted to come to Arsenal, to me that suggests that there was something dodgy going on with Raul with that one as well, possibly, seeing as he's got some with the president of Lille. So we'll see what happens with that one. But maybe that's what's brought it out. Maybe if Arsenal are in negotiations with Lille, that might have been what brought it out. Who knows?
And I have one question.
Sorry. Gabriel has also last night put a tweet out with an emoji of a shock face. So then something you can read into that as well, with everything that's had implications there. If obviously things, as you said, the Gabriel deal doesn't go ahead now, you have to start reading into that.
Yeah,
and the implications.
Why do we as a club always get involved in stuff like this? I don't know. It always seems to be us, doesn't it?
Yeah. So why is it always us? As you said, George playing back in the 80s, early 90s with the agent he used to like using, and now we've got this Spanish fraud that's fucking us over here.
And the funny thing is, because this is going on at all clubs, well, not all clubs, but most of the big clubs. Look at, I mean, Barcelona. You can't tell me Barcelona aren't up to all sorts of dodginess. You know what I mean? And it always seems to be us that get caught, and it comes out from us, doesn't it? But at the end of the day, if that is what he's been doing, if that is what he's done, then he deserves everything that he gets now, and at the back of it, doesn't he? Let's face it.
And I have one question. Which board member, or you can say probably which management guy, or even you can say Wenger to an extent as well, has not actually used to get more money out for themselves? Everyone has been trying to do the same thing. It's just that Raul has probably done it a bit openly and he's been caught. Otherwise, everyone has more or less been there to just make money for themselves, and they have been milking the club. So I don't think there is anything new. Even maybe when Gazidis got him in, they knew about him. They knew how he would work. They knew that he will possibly get some deals done, which will benefit them as well. Just that they got removed at that point of time. They were forced out. That was another thing.
Talking of Gabriel, Bleacher Report, I've got the app. Apparently Leo give Gabriel the thumbs up to leave their club this week or the following week.
I heard he's going to Napoli. Yeah, Napoli. Napoli is the priority.
Well, I've heard Napoli as well. Yeah, the thing with Napoli as well, is on the basis that they can sell Koulibaly. And the way he's performing, especially last week in the Champions League match, and if you even back with Koulibaly, like last season in the big games, he doesn't perform the way we've all seen him perform. And so, and obviously, what he's 20, he'll be in late 20s, isn't he? So there's also that. And what club now? Man City have got Ake now. They're not really going to want to take a massive. I know they've got the finances to do it, but they're not going to take a massive risk and have another Otamendi on their hands, so to speak. Chelsea don't really, well, they do need defenders, but they won't. Again, the financial aspects of how much money they've actually got to spend because of FFP, even though it's been relaxed, it all comes back, and it all come back in one way or another. So, if Koulibaly stays, that then limits him to 2 clubs, according to reports, and that's one of us or United.
And I mean, I think Raul was maybe brokering that deal for us or trying to, and now he's gone. Will we still get him? Can the club still get that deal over the line? I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'd quite like us to buy him, actually, because I think he could be quite a good player. But we don't know really. I don't know that much about him. I've seen a couple of videos. I've heard some good reports about him. Could be a good player to have. He's only young, isn't he? 22, I think he is. So, it could be. He could be
22, just 22.
Could be a good player to come in. We've got a lot of options in defence now with everybody fit, with Mari as well and stuff like that. So, and obviously Saliba's come in, so we've got a few options in defence. But another young defender coming in to develop could be quite good for us to get him. I think 25 minutes seems a bit dear, but anyway.
Yeah, in the chat,
maybe a bit cheaper now, Raul.
Yeah, in the chat, Daddy Ben in the chat is asking, what about bringing back the ex-Dortmund, the guy we had, Spen mentioned, bringing him back into the club? Again, we don't know what went on there in the sense of, because he was brought in around the same time, and Raul sort of out.
He seemed to be doing some good work, I thought, early on, didn't he? Because he got the Aubameyang deal done, and Mkhitaryan. I know Mkhitaryan didn't work out, but he got them two in, didn't he? And he seemed to be getting some exciting stuff going on, and then he kind of went quite quickly, didn't he? So I don't know really what went on there.
It's around the time that Raul sort of gained that full power after Ivan left, that he sort of outed Spen. So you don't know how many bridges there were burnt in the process. So because of obviously the club backing Raul over Spen and things like that, so you don't know. Possibly, he had a project set up in place, a young, youthful project. And but go on, sorry, you were going to say.
Yeah, I was just saying that I don't think anyone else is going to be coming in this pandemic situation right now. We are already trying to get rid of staff. So I think they will just welcome the fact that Vinay is taking more responsibility as it has been announced. I think they will continue for at least this transfer window until the end of the season, unless there is some extraordinary need for another person. I think they will take it positively that we have got rid of this guy whom we were paying a decent amount of money, and probably fine him for the fraud that he has done as well and recover that money as well. I think they will do without him right now because Edu and Vinay will take more responsibility, and that is how things will be. But coming back to one thing, I think the thing with Raul was that because he used to use this corruption, you can say slight corruption method in between, that is why he got a lot of deals done as well. I think now with him gone, it will be possibly tough to get in those players that we are targeting and that were revolving around his involvement. So I think Gabriel deal may not actually happen because of the fact that there was maybe some kind of involvement that he had. And now that he's gone, I think we will have to negotiate on a new slate. And I don't think our team of experts in the management will be able to do it, because Raul had his ways. Whether we like him or we don't like him, he had his ways of getting deals done. And people may criticize it, but yes, he did actually get the Pepe deal done when no one was expecting it.
Well, no, he did, and unfortunately, he's done it in a way that's cost the club a lot more money, which probably isn't ideal, is it? But I think what's going to happen now is maybe some of our transfer targets are going to change because Raul maybe had certain agents in his pocket, had certain clubs in his pocket, whereas now I think that, like you said, it's maybe like a clean slate, isn't it? And I think we maybe might start targeting some different players. That we might actually sign a couple of players in this transfer window that haven't been linked with us at all. Some surprise signings might come in suddenly where maybe Edu's been sorting out behind the scenes, or maybe some players that Arteta's been pushing to get done. So I think there might be one or two maybe slight surprises. We've all got a list of the players that we've been linked with, quite heavily linked with, like Philip Coutinho, obviously that Gabriel, one or two others as well. And it might actually be different players that we end up buying now that are a bit of a surprise that come from nowhere. Hopefully, Thomas Partey might be one of them. I know that wouldn't be a surprise, but hopefully that still might happen because that would be a massive signing.
Yeah, because I was saying, with all the players that we've been linked with since the season's probably finished for us, since all FA Cup final, they're all, apart from Partey, they're all Kia agents. Kia was their agent.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Partey wasn't. So Partey, obviously, we can still hold hope. And obviously, as we've said in the stream, the reports that are coming out literally so heavily, like ramming it, it's come from every angle now. The only person that hasn't said anything is Richard at the moment, but he usually says things once it's fully 100% confirmed from his end. But the 4 year, we're going to pay for this course 4-year contract, the wages, and so much details coming out now over the Partey. Which, again, if it happens, fantastic. Because again, it's a positive move because in the club itself, without Raul there now, are focusing on the key areas that need addressing. It's all about now getting troublemakers out like Ozil and other things and players that are not good, like Socrates. What's his name? But players that basically are not going to meet the standard of what Arteta and the club are needing now. Because it Josh said last year, apart from the big exciting thing, but in that interview, he said we're going on the process now. We want to be competitive again. We want to be challenging for the title, challenging for European titles, this, that, and the other. And in the process, if you're not meeting that standard, or you don't think you want to be there, we'll get you out. Basically, we'll help you. It's like when Jules Graham came in. Like we've had Kevin Campbell on the channel before, and he said that first day he came in, he said he straight away said, "Here's a target. Target is challenging for the title first and catching up with them down up north in Liverpool. And when we get there, we maintain it. And if you've got, I'll give you a few. Well, he said, I'll give you a few weeks in this pre-season to get yourself together. And in that meantime, you feel you can't do it. Whatever reason you can't make the standard. Come to me. We'll have a chat, and I'll help get you out the door. I'll move you on somewhere else." No,
exactly. I think what's happened with this whole situation lately is we've been getting the players that Raul wanted us to get because what he could make out of it, rather than what was good for the club. So now, hopefully, the signings that we get in will actually be the right signings that's going to improve the team, going to improve the squad, and going to make us more competitive on the pitch. Because I don't feel as though that's happened, has it? Most of our signings, we've said it for a while, haven't we? The recruitment's been poor, really. For the money that we've spent, we haven't spent it properly. We haven't spent it wisely. We haven't built with the money that we spent. We could have built a much more competitive team, and we haven't. And that's probably down to not just Raul, because it was probably going on before he was even involved, to be fair. But that's certainly been a part of it in the last couple of years, hasn't it? And now, hopefully, with that out of the way, instead of just buying players that Raul's going to make money from, we're going to buy the right players that we need. That Arteta wants to improve the team and to play the way he wants to play. And if that happens, then it's happy days, isn't it? We can all be sort of happy about that, I think.
I mean, Jonathan Porter here in the chat. I heard that Raul was involved in a 10 million agent payment in the Pepe deal. £10 million and that's why this is why he was chosen ahead of Zaha when Emery wanted Zaha. Maybe now Arteta gets the players he wants. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we've been touching on throughout. That's been the main thing we've touched on in this stream.
Yeah, no, exactly. If that happens, then that's brilliant, because that's good news, isn't it? Because that's how it needs to be. It doesn't matter how much money agents make out of a deal, how much money the people at the club make. It's all about getting the right players in that are going to improve the squad and the players that the manager wants. And that's, if we do that, then that's brilliant news, isn't it? That's what we need.
But the thing could now also be that Arteta may want a few players that he knows he wants to get, but they may the club may not be actually be able to get them now. So that could also happen. Let's see which way it goes. But the problem,
to be fair, that can be said of any club, really. Their main every club has their main set of strikers, like we're seeing Man United with Jordan Sancho this summer. But obviously, nine times out of 10 that'll go ahead and go through. But there's always that chance that your main target never comes to the club. You've got to have backups. As long as we've got a plan in place, where if the main targets aren't available or we can't get them through the door, we have in the second tier of players that we can go for, and etc. etc. There's backup. There's just a strategic plan in place. We're not just like resting our laurels on one tier of a list of players. I mean, looking back when I was younger, we had David Dean at the club, and at the end he made mistakes that have contributed to where we are now. But in the early years, he was the reason why Wenger was at the club. And every summer, it's put out there, every summer he'd go to Arsenal and say, right, who do you need? Who do you want? Like what positions, this, that, and the other? Give me a list of these players. Give me a list of players that you think can improve this club. You go off and enjoy a few weeks off, and come back for pre-season and concentrate on the training pitch. I will go off. I will get the deals done. X, Y, and Z. And one of them deals was the Sol Campbell deal, by the way.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, David Dean made a massive impact, didn't he, at the club, in terms of the players that we bought and the direction the club went. And he was the one who maybe pushed to get Arsene Wenger in, didn't he, originally as well? So sometimes, people that are on the board of the club and make these decisions can actually be good for the club and make sure the club goes in the right direction, and that's what we need now. We need people that care about the club and want the club to be successful, not just care about their bank balance. And that's what we need involved. And if we get that, then we're going to be moving in the right direction. Things are going to start being more positive for us, I think, in the future.
Another mention, Jonathan Porter in the chat, he said, hopefully this means Josh and co are going to keep a close eye on the club and dealings from now on. It's been questionable, the recruitment. That was motivating some choices. And it was, because, and again, we're not, it's not just the fans that have said that. Tony Adams, Mr. Arsenal himself, the guy that came through Arsenal's ranks and for sure a big chunk of what was our most glorious time as a club in our lifetime. And he said, get the recruitment right, we will get back to where we need to be. It's the main point of everything that's going wrong at Arsenal has been recruitment. I mean, if he's saying that, and he's not involved in the club itself, and he can say it as an outsider looking in.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, another one from Jonathan as well. Raul was at Barca prior to this, and look at the mess that their recruitment has been recently since he's left. I think with that, that in mind, I think because he hasn't been at the club long enough to implement even more damage into the club. The support network that was already there, like Edu, Vinay, the Cronkies themselves, especially Josh, because he was more hands-on than his dad, and obviously this Lewis guy that's come in as well, and hopefully they're going for David O'Leary again. There's more of a setup in place to actually eradicate whatever mess he's made and not have it damage us long term, like it has at Barcelona. Because we're seeing, as mentioned by Jonathan, we're seeing in the last couple of years the implications of what Raul did over a long time. And Raul was there for 10 years or so. Where he's only been at us for about 3 years. So is it more of a chance of us eradicating it now, like the whole mess, eradicating all the mess he's made, and then without it affecting us, and then going forward without it affecting us, and we can actually make positive strides going forward.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, yeah. I mean, you know, I think it's needed to be sorted out, and it has been sorted out now. And let's hope that it's all going to be the next step moving forward is going to be a much more positive one for everybody, really, because that's what we need, don't we? We've been stagnating a little bit over the last couple of years with transfers and stuff, and I just think now is a good opportunity. Hopefully, we can get the right people involved now, getting rid of a bad apple, if you like, and now we can hopefully move forward in a more positive way.
Well, Mark Green in the chat as well says it appears that Edu and Arteta will take over the transfers, which is fine by me. Should mean that Arteta will have more chance of getting who he wants. As again, we've touched on this already in the show. But and as you just touched on, it more likely that things will go through quicker as well.
Well, let's hope so. Yeah,
20 fucking years.
If he hasn't got to negotiate his own little pay packet himself, then hopefully we can get the deals done quicker now. But we'll see. You know, we're not going to know if it's positive until we're not going to know if it's positive, are we? Until we see how it pans out going forward.
Yeah, and everyone is saying that it's going to be positive. It's going to be positive. Let a deal first happen. Let's see which player we sign, and then decide whether it actually was positive or it actually messed things up.
Well, by the sounds of it, all the things that are now trickling out over the last couple of hours, it can't get no worse. Surely, the main guy that's been in charge of doing what he's been doing, has been basically nicking money out of the club one way or the other. Whereas everyone else is clearly not doing that. So if things now, obviously, as you said, the transfers go through quicker, we're getting players that our manager, head coach, we called it, he wants, and the recruitment gets better, and we address the areas we need, and we get out the players that are, with all due respect, dog shit and not good enough to be at this club. Then that can only be a positive. But as you said, we have to now sit back and wait and see if that happens.
I mean,
it's fantastic.
It's not just necessarily about the players that we buy. I mean, it is, but if it means that we've bought a lot of players over the last couple of years, haven't we? We've bought lots of players. They haven't been the right players for what we've needed, have they? They haven't worked out. They haven't fitted in, a lot of them. And I don't care if we buy less players, as long as the players that we do buy are the right players that fit in with the team that we need, and it's going to improve us and help us move forward. And that hasn't been the case, has it? Now, whether that was because of the fact that Raul was only dealing with certain agents, only doing deals that he could make money from himself, whether that was the reason, that's what's holding us back, we'll find out, won't we, now, I suppose. If it means getting better deals done, not necessarily more, but just better deals, that's better for the club and better for the team and going to help us improve, then to me that's a step in the right direction, even if it means we buy less players in the next couple of years than we have in the previous couple of years.
And a couple of points quickly to make in. One, the last transfer window, summer one, was one of the, I think, more successful ones in the recent years. So I do not have any problems that we can't say that we didn't sign any players.
It's not that we didn't sign anyone, but it took forever, and it seems, as it's been mentioned in the chat, and I'll put them in a sec. That like Pepe is that he only wanted to deal with certain agents. He didn't want to use the scouting system, which was maybe why. Another reason why things have been risen in the last few days as well, with the investigation into Pepe's deal and all that by Edu and the rest of the club. Jonathan, just touch on it. We're going to director of football in a sec because I did the evidence win. But again, Jonathan, this is why Ben Mislintat was binned. He was going to call out Raul, and maybe the sacking of the scouts raised questions as well in the last few weeks. Maybe that raised questions, and obviously Tim Lewis has looked into this further and unearthed something even deeper in the foundation of what Raul has been doing. It's nothing to do with the business bringing players in. That's not been the issue. It's been clearly who Raul was willing to work with and who his best friends were. His little black book, as I always bring up.
And if you remember, way before this was revealed, we had this discussion on why we were paying Saint Etienne, the club where Saliba came from, £3 million for him to play the final for them. If you remember, we had that crazy clause discussion. How the hell were Arsenal supposed to pay them £3 million for a player that we had signed and given them back on loan, and he was playing the final for them? So that was the discussion at that point of time, which was a more crazier deal, which was not explainable to me at that point of time. I remember even I and you had this discussion. I think even Sam was there, that how are we paying them 3 million for that? We should be charging them 3 million to pay us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So in the taking out the COVID situation, in any situation, we shouldn't be paying a club for our player that it's our own employee that we've signed from them. We shouldn't be paying them, as you said, for that player to play for them for a final.
No, exactly.
Yeah, if you saw that report as well, Barca will have to pay Liverpool £5 million if Coutinho wins the Champions League with Bayern.
Yeah, Jonathan mentioned that in the chat. Bear with me one sec.
Yeah. So other clubs are taking players of their former players, which they have sold to some other team or even are on loan at a third team. But we are paying a club whom we gave our player, which we signed from them, back to them on loan. He reached the final with them, helped them reach a final, almost would have helped them win a cup final possibly. And we had to pay them 3 million. That was the clause, rather than they paying us any money back. So that was more fishy. That was way more fishy than this Pepe one.
It does seem as though recently there's been quite a lot going on at the club, doesn't there? Behind the scenes, quite a lot of stuff going on, and whether that's led to all of this reaching ahead, and this is where it's gone to. But there has been a lot going on, hasn't there? So obviously with the scouting side of things and everything else, I do feel as though lots of stuff's been happening, and I think Edu seems to be quite involved, doesn't he, in sorting things out. I think he's maybe looked at a few things he wasn't happy with. I know he did. He's done the review of the scouting network, didn't he, to get rid of a few people there. And I don't know whether or not that's what's been going on, but there does seem to be stuff happening behind the scenes that I think a lot of people aren't going to be aware of. And maybe now we're seeing the outcome of it, aren't we? This is all part of it, isn't it? The changes that's going on behind the scenes.
But isn't Lil a bit responsible for this as well? Like, I mean, can't we drag them to maybe the financial court or like the footballing law and tell that, like, how are they agreeing such deals with a middleman getting around 10 million pounds or part of 10 million pounds? I mean, we should actually be trying to push to save that money or get it back from them if they don't, like, if they've added such money and they are aware about it.
That's the thing. If they are aware, if they're fully aware, then yeah. But as we've seen in recent weeks with UEFA and the sport of court in arbitration and all that, the rules they put in place, it means nothing in this lot. It's how much you want to pay us off to keep us quiet, basically.
I think Raul's career should now be over. I think it should be over. If no other club should sign him.
Yeah, with social media and how it is, and the media itself, with everything that's been shrinking out, as I said in the last few hours, over what he's done here, more come out of what happened at Barcelona now as well. And as you said, that's it. Surely no one would want to touch him with a 10-foot bars pole because of the implications of what happens going forward.
And I don't understand why can't he be banned directly by FIFA from being involved with any kind of football or activity or any club right now? If he's doing these over the years, it's happened a second time.
Because clearly he has the money because of what he's been doing. He's got the money to pay him off and do what Man City doing. Backhanders, like don't touch me, and I'll keep your pockets full.
That is the weird situation. I think Wolves got a harsher punishment than Manchester City.
Yeah, corruption.
They did.
At this level in football in general, at all levels, is ridiculous. And as you just touched on, because UEFA and all that couldn't get Man City nailed on, they're going after Wolves all of a sudden. It's like what they go. You can't then get Wolves. Who do you go after next?
Yeah, I mean the corruption's a lot. The corruption in football is a lot deeper than what's gone on at Arsenal in this current situation, isn't it? A lot deeper than that, really. And I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg, isn't it? But we'll see what happens now. Really, it's all about moving forward, isn't it? Moving on to the next kind of stage of development for the club now, isn't it? Moving things forward, hopefully in a more positive way. Now we've got rid of what was probably a bad influence at the club, really. Although Vinay has been talking now, I've just read a quote from him saying that, he's worked closely with Raul, he's his friend, and this, that, and the other. So I don't know whether that's...
It's just Arsenal being...
Yeah, maybe it's Arsenal being...
Because I think he put it out there that he's left. It's not... But it's then come out after, since the statement that actually, no, he was sacked. It's been sacked days ago. And this is like, in the implications of it, there's something the other. It's just Arsenal being Arsenal and trying to keep him happy and not...
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a question is, before we wrap things up, from Mark Green, now with Raul gone, what would you call a good transfer window or hopefully a great window? We'll start with you, Richard.
Well, if we get Thomas Partey, we've got the Willian deal already done. Aubameyang signs his extension. That actually wouldn't be a bad window, would it? If we're honest, it's addressing the one area that we needed in midfield. It's addressing the kind of forward area of the pitch with Willian, and obviously tying Aubameyang in. I think that would be a good window. A great window would be if we managed to maybe get in another central defender, maybe that Gabriel, if he's going to be the right player, and then maybe another. I mean, if we could get actually Philippe Coutinho as well. If we got Coutinho, Thomas Partey, we've got Willian, get Aubameyang on a deal and get Gabriel, that would be a great window for me. That would be 5 deals. Whether that's possible or not with the finances, I don't know. If we don't get Partey, I'd rather have Decore as an alternative, which would be cheaper probably. Not quite as good, clearly, but if we have to settle for that, I'd still think that'd be a decent window as well. But for me, that's if we was to get that, if we was to achieve somewhere along those lines, a decent central defender, a decent central midfield player, Aubameyang tied up, and maybe I say a bit more creativity in midfield, which Coutinho would maybe provide that, or somebody like that, then for me that'd be a great window, and then I'd be really confident that next season would be a really good season for us.
Yeah, let's say, what about yourself?
A good window would be where we probably get, as Richard said, Thomas Partey, and Partey. The other one probably would be a centre back and an attacking player like Coutinho. So Gabriel could come in, maybe Coutinho. If not Coutinho, maybe I wouldn't mind taking even Zaha. Willian can play in cam and Zaha can play on the wings. So he can fill those voids. And now his price value has gone down as well, and he's desperate to play for us more than Coutinho. A great window would be if we don't sign a centre back, because then Arteta would have to play 3 at the back and 3-4-3 would continue. I don't want him to go to a 4-3-3. And I know you guys want him to play 4-3-3. I don't.
No, part of the reason why he's playing the three centre backs and wing backs is because the players he's currently had since he's come into the club haven't been good enough to play a flat back 4. So he's had to sort of change, not change fully, but sort of use what he's got and make most of what he's got, sort of thing. He just happened to...
I understand what you're saying there, but what happens is, again, I've said this before, that if he plays a 4-3-3 with the new set of players who are better defenders, and if one player gets injured, then he has to switch again to a 3-4-3.
There's options, but as long as you always switch it sometimes.
I think he'll switch formations depending on who we're playing as well, which, who's fit, who's not fit. But I think who we're playing against, the situation during the game as well, I think he's going to change it up. I think he's able to do that as well. So I'm not that concerned really about the system that we play. It's more about the players buying into what Arteta wants them to do. And if that's going to be the case, then that's how we. If we play 2 or 3 different systems, I'm not bothered as long as we win games, as long as we get the right results. That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah,
no, I get that, but the reason I've said that again is because I feel a lot more secure when it is 3 at the back with 2 wing backs. So that is why I said a great window would be if we do not get any more centre backs. We already have like 7 defenders there, and they are good enough to play in a 3-4-3. Then they may not be good enough to play in a 4-3-3, but I would like Arteta not to experiment.
That's the thing. All managers experiment. All managers, every now and then, they switch formation depending on the opponent, especially in European competition. So if these players aren't good enough to do that, you need to get players in that are good enough that can play not only your 4 at the back, but can play in a. If he wants, because you don't know because his main formation could be this 3 centre back swing, but you might want to every now and then switch it a bit to 4. So he needs players that are good enough to do that. And as you said, you just touched on, these current players in that defensive line as a whole aren't good enough to go back and forth. So you need to add the play, one or two players here or there, so you can do that. So you can like switch it every now and then.
I don't mind him switching to a 4-3-3 at times, which is like a requirement or a necessity in a particular game. But he already has the centre backs for that. He has Saliba, he has Pablo Mari, he has Mustafi, who has played better. If he's not relying on any of them, then he needs to first start selling as well, because we haven't even seen Socrates leave the club so far. Socrates, who has not been any to him at all, has not even left the club.
But again, Socrates is part of this Raul era. So that's another reason why. And these players that Raul's brought in as well, they've been on the high wages. It's harder to get them out. But I think now Raul's gone, and the fact that players like Socrates, apart from the 5-minute spell at the end of the cup final, hasn't played since the restart. Certain players you can tell that Arteta doesn't want, that they don't fit his system. So I think with Raul out of the books now, so to speak, it's easier for them to get these players off the books, so we say. Whereas
so let's see whether that happens or not, because a lot of people are saying it should happen.
It's all a waiting game now.
Yeah. So going away from the defense for a great window, moving on, I would get in again. I would want Doucouré instead of maybe Partey, Premier League proven. So I would think if that guy comes in, he's cheaper as well, 20 million euros, which is his current market value. I think that would be a better deal for us than getting Partey right now. And with respect to attack, obviously, if we retain all our players, which is we do not sell Lacazette, we do not sell any of our players. And one more thing, in midfield as well, if we retain Guendouzi and sometime in the future give him a chance, if he improves his attitude, those things. Lastly, a fantasy, a fanboy moment, get rid of Ozil, get rid of maybe another dead midfielder, maybe like Torreira, sell them to Juventus and get Cristiano Ronaldo.
That would be a great window, wouldn't it? Even though he's about 55 years old now, he's still a good player, isn't he?
Look, we would win the league.
Everyone was losing their shit over Bayern. Willian, who's 30. So what's Ronaldo now? 34, is he? 35?
35, yeah. It's got, yeah. So,
sign him on a 10-year contract.
Yeah. I mean, that's before we wrap up. Last comment in the chat, and I mentioned, I wonder if Arteta and Edu have called this out and gone to Josh to question the targets that Raul was highlighting. Then Tim, the corporate lawyer, was investigating various deals that Raul gone and done, and that's how things have blown up. It's possible. That's possible as well.
It could be.
It's all guesswork at the moment, but at the end of the day, it's done. It's what's done is done now. He's been caught out. He's been punished. He's not at the club anymore. He's not got a high job anymore, and this could be, as we mentioned already, the end of his career now. Because only an idiot now, after two top European clubs he's been at, Barcelona, now Arsenal, him being sacked, even though they're saying that he's there, and the implications are now, especially now, the implications of what's coming out in the last couple of hours. Only an idiot would want to go ahead and employ him.
Yeah. There are a lot of idiots out there.
About it, I suppose.
There are a lot of idiots out there.
Yeah, them not down the road being one of them. Well, and that's another thing that's naffed me off this week. That obviously it's come out this week that Daniel Levy has been going to the council and charging the council huge sums of money to use the stadium as a food bank during this pandemic. Yet we lay off 55 staff because of shops closing and obviously the scouting system, what's gone on there, and we're hung at the dry by the media. Like they're like, the pitchforks are out. Tottenham.
There's no media agenda against Arsenal.
I don't think there was either. But hey,
there isn't a media agenda against Arsenal. It's just the way it is.
Some of the buried corpses will start coming out of the ground now.
Oh dear! But with that, we're going to wrap things up now because we're just going to touch on what is the breaking news, and we have touched on it. We're in fear of repeating ourselves now, and obviously we've got our own stuff to do. This is completely out of the blue, so to speak. Because as I said earlier, we touched on this last night. We just thought it was just hearsay, like fans being hopeful, But yeah, it is what it is. It is true. Raul is gone, and for being a very
Raul, bye Raul.
and one person I know will be very happy is Andrew from Dial Square to Wear, because his nickname was Danny DeVito for Raul, and yeah, he, again like myself, there's just something he didn't like about Raul, and he's been vindicated for it.
Yeah,
as you said, Richard. Bye, Raul. Goodbye.
Yeah,
No more.
Nice to know you. Now go and
Agent FC is gone. Fuck off.
Yeah, hopefully.
Can't wait for bye Ozil.
Well, that's another show in itself.
It's probably another 2 shows, that isn't it?
Yeah, fucking hell.
Probably Ozil can carry his bags and escort him to Germany or Turkey or somewhere else where he's needed.
But yeah, that's Ozil situation is a whole other show. So yeah, about things. I hopefully I'm thinking of doing a watch along for tonight. Are you any of you guys available for that? Man City versus Lyon. Winner plays the Barca destroys Munich.
The season for me finished on the 1st of August at about 7:30 when we won the FA Cup.
Yeah, I'm just doing this for content.
And it starts again on the 29th of August when we play Liverpool.
Yeah.
Everything else in between is irrelevant.
Yeah, I'm just doing it just to get some more content out, that's all.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in watching it. It's just I've not watched any European football since the season finished, and I don't intend to start now, especially Man City. They shouldn't even be in it today, so...
No, they shouldn't be, but yeah.
Let's hope they get hammered about 6-0. That'll be good. Then what happens if Liverpool go to Barcelona, who they need a manager, and then Man City will finish about 10th next season, and we can laugh at them.
That's the hope. But yeah, with that, thanks guys for coming on. Very really short notice because obviously, as I said, this wasn't expected. As you said, Rich, you didn't even know until you got home.
I didn't. Came over football and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, it's all kicked off at Arsenal. Brilliant. but we knew top turned up anyway, so that's good news.
New top turned up, and it's the right.
It's got the right. Yeah. It's all there, flying better. Lovely. Well done. Cheers, Arsenal, for that. Brilliant.
Yeah. Oh dear. But yeah, thanks for that, and obviously, hopefully, we're back later on for the watch on for the Man City Lyon game. And either way, until then, enjoy the rest of your Saturday and your weekend. And if we're not back tonight, we'll be back next week with the quizzes. Bringing the quiz back, the Who Am I quiz, and obviously Kenny Ken's had to drop out because he'd rather watch Champions League football than retain his crown. So
oh, good that. So I'm happy because I might have a bit more chance of winning.
So yeah, if you haven't already, do subscribe, hit the like button. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future shows. And until next time, guys, up the Arsenal.
Up the Gunners, come on.